Tonight I'm going to be making Homestyle vegan chocolate chip cookies. I've made these twice before and they're very, very good, but can be very dangerous, so be careful. You could even freeze them so you kind of keep your portion control. I got this off of everydaydish.tv, and they also have Everyday Dish on YouTube. And I changed it up so I could have it as a sugar-free, almost sugar-free dessert. And I made a few changes tonight just because I didn't have certain things, so I hope that they'll turn out right. What makes it vegan is it doesn't have dairy or eggs. It also doesn't have any white sugar or like refined flour, which is not, that doesn't make it vegan, but that's just, it's a healthier, flour and sugar. But I'm not using sugar. I'll show you the ingredients in just a second. Okay, first you're going to preheat your oven to 350. And here are the ingredients. Okay, first you're going to need, it calls for canola oil, and you need about 1/4 of a cup of that, maybe a little bit more. Just be a little generous with that. But I didn't have any canola oil. All I had was olive oil and vegetable oil. I chose to use this. It says you can use it in baking. I think it'll turn out, just fine. So I'm going to use that. And then you need baking powder. And you'll need a teaspoon of baking powder. Now it also calls for 1/2 of a teaspoon of baking soda, which I don't have. And I'm going to leave it out. It may or may not turn out right. But if you have baking soda, use 1/2 of a teaspoon of that. Then, if you're making this by this recipe, you would use 1/4 of a cup of sugar. But I'm going to use 6 packets of the Truvia, and 6 packets equals 1/4 cup as far as sweetness, because they have a conversion chart on their website. Okay, next what you're going to need is 1/4 of a teaspoon of sea salt, or you can use regular salt. I used that last time. 1/3 of a cup of pure maple syrup. Well, I'm going to use, of course, the Joseph's maple syrup, and I may go a little bit more generous on that, because it also calls for 1/4 of a teaspoon of blackstrap molasses, which I'm not going to put in. I didn't last time, so I made it add a little bit more of the maple syrup just to give it a little bit more moisture. And then you need 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. And that's that there. And then you'll need 1/3 of a cup of non-dairy chocolate chips. And I'm just using the vegan chocolate chips, the semi-sweet. That's what I used last time. You can change this up. You can add, chips that have dairy in them. They just won't be vegan cookies, but you could do that if you have that. So, those are the ingredients. And now I'm going to get started. Okay, so far I have the 1 cup of flour and the baking powder, which is 1 teaspoon. And also I thought about this. Some people were saying if you use self-rising flour, you don't have to add that. So that would be a good idea too. I just don't happen to have any. Another thing is, last time I made these, I used Spelt flour. So if you have a problem with gluten, that's really good for that. And they turned out really, really well with that. I hope they're as good with the flour that I'm using now. Okay, first you're going to put that in there. Then I'm going to put in the salt. And for the salt, let me make sure, 1/4 of a teaspoon. So I'm going to bring this around, and it may be, well, okay, there we go, 1/4. And then I'm going to put in the Truvia. And if you want that conversion chart, it's at Truvia.com. And all you'll do is just go there and you click on, I think it's baking or recipes, and you'll see over to the left there'll be a conversion chart for whatever you need, whatever recipe you're making. But it turned out great with just the 6 because you have that maple syrup in there as well. But if you need them a little sweeter next time, just add more Truvia. Save yourself the calories. Okay. I'm going to mix that up a little bit just to incorporate. And I don't sift any of this stuff. You can do that if you like. Okay. Now, next I'm going to put in, this is the, I'm using 1/4 of a cup of the maple syrup. And that's like 35, let's see, 35 calories altogether. And if you spray it with cooking spray, it'll come out easier. I just learned that trick. Well, I've known it somewhere on like Food Network or something, because they did it with honey, I believe. And there's still a little bit in there, and I want to get all of that. But it's not as bad as it could have been. Okay. Got that. Now I'm going to put the oil in this same one, and I'm going to use 1/4 of a cup of that. So let's see if we got... Perfect. Okay. And this is 1/4 of a cup of the olive oil. I would recommend using the canola if you have it, because that's the way I've made it and that's what the recipe says. But we'll see if these turn out. And if so, it'll be a little healthier for you, I would say. Alright, now we need the vanilla. And you're putting, it's quite a bit of vanilla. Let's see. Let's just do 1 teaspoon for right now and see how that looks. So I'm going to take my teaspoon, do that, because sometimes vanilla can be bitter, so I don't want to mess it up too bad. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this up. I'm going to use that small spoon to start out with. God, it smells so good. And the good thing is you can taste the batter because there's no raw egg in it. You just have to work this in. I'm going to incorporate this and I will come back and show you. Okay, the batter was a little bit stiff, so I added another tablespoon of oil and it came together good. And see, it's just thick like cookie dough. And you could add a little bit more of the maple syrup to soften it up instead of the oil. So now I'm going to put it calls for 1/3 a cup. Let's see, I've got about 1/2 cup. I'm going to put them in here, and then I'm going to mix it around and see if I need. Hello, don't be wasting chips. Oh yeah, I think this is all I need. I'm not going to need the rest. So maybe you might want to do 1/4 of a cup. Just mix it all around. Make sure that it all is incorporated. And this is supposed to bake 9 to 12 average size cookies, but you can do little tiny ones. But see, it looks just like cookie dough. And let's have a taste to make sure. That's good. Turn it on to, preheat to 350. And I'm just going to spray my pan. I'll just show you one of these. I'm just going to spray it. It does have oil in it. Now I'm just going to take some and I'm just going to roll it around and just put them on there. And like I said, just make them however big or small or whatever that you like them. And they won't all be the same size, but that's okay. We'll just have to eat the bigger one. I was kidding. No, I'm actually not. I probably would. Okay. Let's see. Alright, see, so far we've got 5, and I still have over half the dough. Let me do one more. And this was the perfect amount of chips. And you can actually leave the chips out. I mean, the dough will taste fine without it. Okay, so that's what they look like. I'm going to bake these, and then I will be back. Okay, this is what they look like when they're finished. Mine baked about 12 minutes, I'd say, because some of the bottoms were getting a little dark like that. So I decided to take them out because the top's not quite as brown as I like it, but it is done, and they're still kind of moist and real chewy, and that's what I really like. So I'm doing 2 cookies a piece for me and Joe, one bigger one and one smaller one. But this is Homestyle vegan chocolate chip cookies, and I hope you enjoy. If you make this, just post a video response and show me what you came up with. Enjoy, and I'll talk again soon.